Hey everyone, we're going to do a quick little talk today on the H123D Storm. This is the new Hubsan racer. Many of you have watched my other videos. First, let me just point out, I'm not a reviewer. I do testing with Hubsan. I'm not the only one. There's other people out there that do testing, so no, I'm not claiming to be the only and number one tester, but I do testing. I'm one of the testers for Hubsan on their new products, and I have 3 Facebook groups all dedicated to Hubsan, which I'll post a link in the video. But one thing I do get to do is I get to pick other testers as well. And I get to pick some of the reviewers sometimes. In the past, with the new HT 011A transmitter, I was able to pick Quadcopter 101 and Dustin Dunno and work with them in a private setting on Facebook in a little private group I create for testing. This time around I have 4 other testers that I've picked. One is a YouTuber, and I don't consider myself a YouTuber. I guess you can tell I'm not professional in this whatsoever. I'm just another guy that's enjoying the hobby, and I like the Hubsan products. So I don't call myself a YouTuber. Everything I do I put out just to be informative or what have it. So that being said, me not being a reviewer, my past videos that I did on this little guy, they weren't really so much a review. They're more just an introduction, tell you about the features, the changes, the things Hubsan's brought to the table. So today, what I want to talk about, and I know everybody's anxious to see flight. I'm not too concerned about that because we've had other issues, and that's what I'm going to bring to you today. All the deliveries, not all the deliveries, but the first batch of orders are starting to arrive. People are starting to get this now. So you're going to see plenty of flight videos. I will eventually get there. I was all set to go out and do that today, but looking out the window, it's still pretty crappy out. When I work, it's nice and sunny, and when I have my days off, I get rain. Every flight I've had with this pretty much has been in the rain except for maybe one, and I've been getting it pretty wet, and I'm not crazy about getting the ESCs or anything wet until I have my stuff to waterproof it, which will be sometime this week. But yeah, I had my goggles all ready and batteries all charged up and ready to go today, and woke up and I feel like crap, and the weather outside sucks. So here's what we're going to go over. So far we have tested this, and it's been very frustrating. Like I said, there's 4 of us. I'm not knocking anybody, but one is a YouTuber, and you know, he had to get his review out and get that all out of the way, and not his fault. He's just doing his job as a YouTuber, I guess. But I think now he's on the same page, and he's going to fully test what we want tested on this, and that is flight time. If anybody has paid attention or looked into the descriptions that Hubsan has put out, and my last video I mentioned, and I said it was to be determined, that's the flight time of 10 minutes. If this racer flies for 10 minutes, that alone right there is a great selling point, because how many racers out there do you see fly at 10 minutes? I will tell you, it's not this one. At first, it was a bit scary because we couldn't get more than 2 minutes out of it. And it was only 2 of us testing out of 4, because the other tester, I don't know, I don't want to give too much personal information, but the other tester, where he lives, they're facing a pretty nasty disaster of a widespread fire that has killed many. So I understand that he's not in the situation to test right now. So whenever he's ready, he'll be joining us. And then one of the other testers did not get his yet. He's still waiting on it because Hubsan decided to hold it until they could get a plug adapter for his country for the charger. And we use hobby grade chargers, so that was just a waste of time. I caught it, I got them to hurry up and ship it out, but he still hasn't gotten it in where he lives. It takes a little bit of time for it to get there. So two of us have been testing this rigorously, and we were really shocked at the drop in down times, flight times. We were only getting about 2 minutes till we'd get that damn alarm, and this thing is so awesome to fly and so tough. That was really discouraging and frustrating us really bad. Around the same time, he and I both noticed on his model and my model, I was feeling a lot of warmth under this leg right here. And shortly after that, he noticed a lot of warmth in one of the screws. So I had found that I had a pinched wire that the insulation was off of. The screw that screws this cover down goes into a metal sleeve or spacer that is screwed to the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is conductive. You can get a current of electricity to go through carbon fiber. So if you have a short that is making its way to the carbon fiber, that's not good. And that was heating this arm up pretty good. It got really hot. So finding that, I repaired it, and then I went through and took all the covers off. I took the motors off, and I just went through all the wiring of the ESCs and the motors, and I found some welds that were just almost, well, one weld, one solder point that was so close to touching I couldn't determine with a magnifying glass if it was touching or not. It was that close. So I redid the solder joints. I went through and checked everything thoroughly, and then started testing again, and magically the flight times increased. So you're still not going to get 10 minutes, but I will tell you at this point, we are working hard to get Hubsan to correct the flight time. When Hubsan did their flight time of 10 minutes, it's in the lowest setting, which is this switch flipped all the way up. You got 3 clicks. If you flip it all the way up, you're in what they call manual mode. I think we've agreed in the testing group that should be self-leveling mode or something, but not manual mode. Manual mode really doesn't explain it very well. It's your least setting. It's going to use the least amount of power. So with that, you have your gyro, and it's a lot more stable and easier. It's great for a beginner. But what Hubsan did is they put it in that mode, and they just hovered it 2 meters off the ground and left it that way. They just kept it hovering 2 meters off the ground, and they recorded their flight time. I'm no professional, but I don't know if that's the normal of all companies, that they give a flight time just by hovering it. But if that's the case, it would work more if you're doing it to a 501 or some smaller quads. But when it comes to a racer, you're throwing many different levels of RPM, and you're using different modes that use different levels of power. You cannot test this at a hover at 2 meters and say that's the flight time, because it's not the flight time. We cannot get 10 minutes out of this, and we never will, and I'm not going to try to. What I'm going to try to do is, with all of us testing strictly the flight time in the different modes, we're going to be able to give you a window of time. So whether that time be 2 to 4 minutes, or 3 to 6 minutes. I don't know. I'm not even going to give you a guess as to what it is. I have an idea because we've been testing it, and I know where we're getting as far as what kind of window. But in all fairness, with the other guys testing it and they haven't reported their flight logs yet, I don't want to throw a number out there. I will say that it should meet your average racer flight time, and in some modes, I'm thinking it's going to exceed your normal racer flight time. So that's good. It's not a terrible thing. It's not a bad thing, but there's going to be a ton of complaining of people saying they're not getting 10 minutes flight time and not understanding that you're just not going to get that out of a racer. This little battery, I think, needs to be upgraded. I put in a request to Hubsan and I explained everything to them that we have found so far and how things are, and asked if they could do an upgrade. Now, they'll still end up shipping the quad with the current battery that they have, which is a 980 mAh 7.6, which is an odd number. It's usually 7.4. That's all you can usually find when you're trying to find a replacement. But it's a 7.6 25C. I've asked for something that's an upgrade to this battery that will still fit inside the quad. So we'll see what Hubsan does with that. But if they do it, it'll just be an upgrade. It won't come with the quad. If they do, it'll be much later in the game. But I think in all fairness to people, if everybody's getting this quad with this battery and then Hubsan goes and changes it to a better battery, it's going to create more upset people. So if they continue selling it with this battery, which is perfectly fine for now, that would be great if they just offered a upgrade. Because I have searched everywhere and I've tested 2 batteries that came close to this, but they just did not fit. And I don't want to go strapping one to the bottom just yet or anything. If I'm testing, I want to test it just the way it comes. So hopefully there will be an updated battery. That is one thing. But if you are in this hobby and you order this, I highly encourage you to take the covers off of all the ESCs and inspect your wires. In my case, in the other person's case, it was the pinched yellow wire on the ESC. The red wire was fine and the black wire was fine. They are twisted and bundled up. On mine, I've separated them all, I've routed them all, none of them are touching, none of them are nicked. I repaired the one that was bad. I'll include some pictures. I'll put some pictures in the video that I took of the bad solder joints, and I think I took one of the wire repair I had to do. So I'll add those in the end of the video, so keep watching, and at the end of the video you'll see the repairs that I've had to do to this. But that's about it. If you do want to use goggles, this is goggle friendly. I imagine it'll pair up with many different types of goggles, but this is the only pair that I have bound to it. And I know these things are huge, but I wear glasses, and if you wear glasses and you wear goggles, you'll see that not many of them are very friendly for us four-eyed guys. So I do highly recommend this so far, though. It came well recommended. The clarity in it's incredible. Performance, I really haven't fully put to the test with range and stuff on this, but I think it'll do perfectly fine, especially once I ditch this antenna and put a more suitable antenna on here instead of a flat panel. This is an upgrade you'll probably want to do as well. Change this out to an omnidirectional. I don't think that a flat panel is the way to go on it. I'm no antenna expert, but I do know enough that I don't think a flat panel is the way to go. So I'll be updating the antennas here. I'm going to see what I get out of these antennas and then possibly upgrade those as well, which with most quads I upgrade the antennas automatically anyhow. So that is it. if you get this, the transmitter is not going to come with a battery. Originally, like if you've watched any of my videos, anytime they come with a new transmitter, they never send it with a new battery. And you know, that's my biggest thing. I always push for a new battery. Some of you guys live in countries where it's impossible to get the proper battery. I pushed for them to send a spare battery in the transmitter, and later found out that all the quads are being sent with a spare quad battery. So I left it alone because that's a good thing. You got shorter flight times on a racer, so getting 2 batteries in the box is great. So those of you who have ordered this, you're going to get 2 batteries. I think it was a mistake. I know they probably won't say that now, but I think it was just a misunderstanding. I was asking for a battery for this. The battery that I use for that is this little Hubsan battery. It's a 1300 mAh 7.4 volt 2C. It's a good transmitter battery. You get a good amount of flights out of it. And if you take the battery bay out, first off, this does fits perfectly with the battery bay. If you take the battery bay out, then you can move up to something bigger and it will fit in there. And for that I have a Turnigy that is 1000 mAh. It's got a higher discharge. It's a 20 to 30 C discharge, but it lasts a long time. It definitely lasts longer than that. So that's what I use in my other standard transmitter, and I get a lot of time out of that, a lot of flights out of it. For now, I'm going to be using it on the goggles and then using this for the transmitter. So if you've ordered this, bottom line, you want to get a LiPo battery for it. If you don't want to use the AA's, this is one that fits. And it's a Hubsan, so you can find it on their website. And I'm sure you can find it on Amazon and Banggood and Hobby King and all those. All right, so that's it. The only other thing I want to say is anybody that buys this, I'm sure that the professional racers are going to be really critical of it. As I said before, I think it qualifies being called a racer. Is it your typical racer? No, it's not going to be one of the best ones out there, but I think it'll be better than several that are already out there. I don't have any other racers. I don't claim to be a big racer, experienced flyer, but I've done a lot of homework and research on the ones that are out there, and there's so many, you can only cover so much, but from what I see, there's a lot of them that I've looked at where I'll say this probably already beats it, and it's just tough as hell. If you watched Annie's live feed, her last live feed, you'll see where she didn't want to name the person, but somebody flew it off the side of a mountain onto a road down below. That was me. I did it twice. Both times I found it in the road. It was a good 100-foot drop, just a straight drop. I had high interference and lost signal, and as soon as you lose signal with it, it just drops. And that's good because you don't want it to fly away, but I really expected disaster and not a mark, and I'm still flying on the original props. I've crashed this thing half the amount of times I've flown it, so if I've got 50 flights in, I can tell you I've got at least 25 crashes, and the props are all original. The props do end up bending a little bit down or up, but you can put them right back. They're very forgiving. It's almost like they have a memory and they go back to where they were. I did create a gauge that I use between the top of the ESC shield and the blade, and when I bend them I put that in there and I straighten them back up and make sure that the gap is the same, and that way I got them as straight as I can. So okay, I think I've already said that's it about 3 times, and then I keep finding something else to talk about. Start looking on YouTube now and you'll see probably people popping up that have received theirs. I'm sure everybody's going to want to do the dreaded review of unboxing it, and this is what it comes with. That's all that matters. But eventually I think you're going to start seeing flights and what it can do. When I do my flights, I'll already go ahead and tell you it's just going to be me zipping around a little bit. I'll show you maybe a punch and stuff like that, but you're not going to see much acro out of me. I'm not a great acro flyer, and I know you're thinking, oh, well, you're testing it, you should be able to fly acro. Well, that's why I picked certain people that I picked, especially one, the one that's still waiting on his. I think he's going to be very good with this. And one of the other testers had somebody who's an expert with acro, and he flew it and gave his opinion, and overall it was a good opinion. For this being Hubsan's second racer, and it being a Hubsan, it's a good racer. Alright, so in the future, hopefully, I will get a flight video out, and I know after my last videos there was some frustration from people, and they voiced that frustration quite clearly that I gave a review and didn't do a flight video, and they want to know where the flight video is. Well, now you know. It's all been stuck in testing and trying to fix some little things that we found that are QC related, and to narrow down the flight window, flight time window. That's all I care about. I could give two craps about putting out a video to fly versus making something better, and that's why I have my channel. I'm not here to be a reviewer. I'm not here to show you just flights. I'm here to give you information, and every video I put out I try to give information and give you the best information that I can anyhow. Some of my products, when I get them, they're new and they don't have some of the features that you get once you receive them. Like when I got the HT011A, the top corner buttons did not return to home or headless mode. They were non-functional, and in the manual they even said non-functional. That was fixed, and then I later received an update or updated version, so I do have the correct version now. But in that video I didn't have a full version. This one, there may be changes made to it in firmware, I don't know, but I do know the firmware number on this one, and when people start getting them on down the road, I'm going to ask if I can see their firmware versions to see if Hubsan has made a change and perhaps just hadn't mentioned it. So yeah, to all you that get all pissed off and leave nasty messages, sorry, no flights. But as soon as I get clear weather, I plan to do that, and it'll be with the goggles, and it'll be in the second mode, which is sports mode. Then I'm going to work on that acro mode a little bit before I start sharing those videos, because you're going to just, I might as well make that a crash video. Alright, that's it. Thank you to all of you who support my channel. Thank you to all of you who like my videos. Thank you to all of you who leave nice comments. And to all of you with the thumbs down, I don't give a crap. To all of you who just want to be a troll or a smartass, I'll simply just ignore you or delete your crap if it's content that is inappropriate. So, I'm only human. Do what I can. If you don't like it, unsubscribe or don't watch me. But for the rest of you, I will try to bring you new content. I will try to keep you up to date. I will try to give you good information, things to look out for, and give you the honest truth. I'm not going to lie to you and say this is perfect, no flaws, no problems, everything is fine. And that is it. Finally, I'm done. I'm not going to say another word except thank you and goodbye.